This is the solution for 2NA revision paper 3. This came from the 2020 weighted assessments. Question 1. Factorize. Now for part A, the general technique here is for you to realize that you need to extract common factors. Now think carefully, what are the common factors for 8AB and 16BC? You should be able to tell that the highest common factor for the numbers 8 and 16 should be 8. Now for the algebraic symbols, B is common, so let's factorize it out. Now after you have extracted these two in front, you are left with a bracket, and then for the first term, when you extract 8 and B, you are only left with the symbol A, plus for 16BC, when you extract 8 and B, you are left with a 2C, and that is the answer for question 1. Let's move on to part B. Now part B is also factorization, but this is not extracting common factors because if you look at 3 of them, there is no common factor throughout. Now this is a clear indication that you need to use the cross method of factorization. Now how to do the cross method? This is what it looks like. Write down y squared, positive y, negative 6. I'm just copying down the y squared, the positive y, and lastly the negative 6. Next, y times y is y squared. Something times something gives us 6. That later on must give a 1 of the y's. So a good consideration is to use 3 and 2 because 3 times 2 is 6, and also once I cross multiply, I will get a 3x on top and a 2x below. Sorry, my mistake is 3y, not 3x. 3y and 2y. Okay, and then how do I get a positive y from 3y and 2y? I have to take a positive 3y minus a 2y, and then I transfer over the positive sign and the negative sign. Whatever that is in blue is my first bracket, whatever that's in orange is my second bracket. So the final answer for this question is y plus 3 times y minus 2. Let's move on. Simplification of algebraic expressions. Now what you need to do for this question is 1 by 1 simplify. Now 5 divided by 15, you should see a 1/3 appearing. A cubed and A should remain an A square on top. B and B square, there should be a B below. Now the number 1 need not be written, so remove it, and this is the answer. Next question. Now, to simplify this, you must first do factorization on both the numerator and the denominator. Now, for the denominator, it is already factorized, so there's nothing else you can do. But for the numerator, do you notice that between the number 2 and 6, you can actually extract the common factor 2, leaving behind x minus 3, and this coincidentally is the same x minus 3 that is found in the denominator. Now, this and this can be divided to give 1 whole, and you can remove it in the next step. You are only left with 2 on top and x plus 1 below. So that is the answer. Let's move on to question 3. Now question 3 is almost the same as the earlier question in 2A, but first, what you will need to do is multiply across your numerator. You should see a 60m squared. Multiply across denominator, you should see 3mn squared. And then we divide the numbers. 60 divided by 3, you should see a 20 on the numerator. M squared divided by m, you should see a m on the numerator. Now for the n squared, there is nothing else to divide it, so that you should see n squared on the denominator. And that is the answer for question 3. Moving on, let's look at question 4. Now question 4, one of the things that struck out to me is the division. So this question requires keep change flip technique. So keep the first fraction, change the divide to a times, and you flip the second fraction. So 4 is now on the numerator, and then 9x minus 6 is on the denominator. Okay, next, using the earlier technique, we will multiply across the numerator. You will see 4 times 3x minus 2 square. Denominator, you will see 8 times 9x minus 6. Okay, before we carry on, do notice that there is something peculiar about the 9x minus 6. There is a common factor of 3. So let's do one more round of factorization on the denominator. So other than the 8, there is also a 3, and if I factorize, I'm left with, coincidentally, a 3x minus 2, which is the same as the one on the numerator. So now I can finally simplify the answer. Okay, on the calculator, can you press 4 divided by 8 times 3? You should see a 1 over 6 appearing. So 1 out of 6. Next, there is a square of the 3x minus 2 on the numerator, whereas there is just a 3x minus 2 on the denominator. If you simplify this, you will get a 3x minus 2 on the numerator. And similarly, we do not write the 1, so I can actually remove the 1, remove the bracket, and rearrange. This is my answer. Let's move on to question 5. Now, question 5 is a reminder that if you see a square minus b square, this is an important identity that you have learned all the way in chapter 4, when a square minus b square can be factorized as a minus b times a plus b in 2 separate brackets. In other words, if you are given a square minus b square is 28 for this question, and we know that a square minus b square is a minus b times a plus b, we can write it like this, and it is equal to 28 as well. Now, out of which you are also given that a minus b is 7. So you can replace it with 7, and then a plus b is equals to 28. The question asks you to find the value of a plus b. A plus b. So which means I have to try to get rid of the 7, and that can be done by dividing both sides by 7. So a plus b turns out to become 28 divided by 7 is a very nice answer of 4, and that's the answer for question 5. Let's move on to question 6. This is proportional question. Now for this question, it's a trick question. When they didn't tell you whether is it direct or inverse, this is automatically directly proportional. Now if you know that to be the case, you can start writing your formula for direct proportion. Y is equals to k times x to the power of 3. Substitute y to be 500. Substitute x to be 10. Okay, and you will get 500 is equals to 1000 x. 1000 x is 500. X is actually 500 divided by 1000, and the answer is 0.5. Okay, I think I made a mistake. This shouldn't be x, this should be k. My mistake, can you change that? K, 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 and K. Sorry for the mistake. Now once that I found the K, let's complete the formula with the K value. Rewrite this with the K. So y is equals to 0.5 x to the power of 3. And that is the answer. Using this new formula, find the value of y when x is 12. So substitute x to be 12 into the formula. Y equals to 0.5 times 12 cubed. Now don't forget to cube the answer for 12. And the answer is 864 for the value of y. Let's move on to question C. Now substitute y equals to 256, and you will get 256 is equals to 0.5 x power 3. Rearrange the formula. Divide both sides by 0.5. And you will get x cubed is equals to 512. Now finally, to remove a cube, we will perform cube root. Now when you perform a cube root, you are left with x on the left. Right side is cube root of 512. Please know how to press on the calculator and you will get x equals to 8. Let's move on. Now question 7 will be gone through in a separate video. Let's move to question 8. Now this question, builders taking 10 days to complete a building. This is actually an inverse proportion question. The more workers you have, so more workers, you actually need less days. Whereas if you have lesser workers, you actually need more days to complete the same job. So, question, 10 days. I require 4 builders. The question is asking, if I only have 1 day, how many workers do I require? So since it's an inverse proportion, on this side when I divide by 10, on the other side I must times 10. So I need 40 builders. Now for the next question, now they want a number of days, but they give you 5 builders. Now go into the question first. The question told you that 4 builders take 10 days. This was given right on top. So to get to 5 builders, I think the very first thing that we should do is to find 1 builder first. Now to find 1 builder and the number of days, on the left we divide by 4. On the right we actually times 4. So we actually need 40 days for 1 builder to do the same job. And once I know for 1 builder, we can move on to 5 builders. So if I times 5 here, I divide by 5 there due to the inverse proportion. So I would need 8 days. So from 10 drop to 8, what is the decrease in number of days? 10 minus 8, the decrease is 2 days. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, triangle. First angle is x. Second angle is 25 degrees smaller, so x degrees minus 25 degrees. The third angle is 3 times the size of the second angle, and there you have it. These are the 3 angles. Form an equation. Now these 3 angles actually add up to 180 degrees because of the sum of angles in a triangle. Now expand and simplify. X plus 3x is a total of 5x. Negative 25 minus 75 is a negative 100. From here, I balance the equation. 5x equals to 180 plus 100. This is simple algebra. 5x is equals to 280 degrees. X degrees is equals to 280 degrees divided by 5, 56 degrees. But that is not the end of the question yet, because the question asks you to find all the angles inside the triangle. So the first angle is definitely x degrees, so that will be 56. The second angle is x degrees minus 25 degrees, so 56 minus 25, that will be 31 degrees. And the third angle is 3 times of the second angle, so 3 times 31, that will be 93 degrees. And there you have it. Let's carry on. Now rhombus. One of the important things that you must take note is all sides are the same length. So x must be equal to 6 cm. That is something you learn from PSLE. But next, there's something else that you have learned in Sec 2 for rhombus, is that the diagonals actually intersect at right angles. This is actually a right angle. So if there's a right angle here, can you find y already? Yes, you can. So y degrees is 180 minus 118 degrees. minus 90 degrees because of the sum of angles in the green color triangle, right? This triangle. So the answer actually pops out for y degrees to be 72 degrees. Let's move on to the next question. Find the sum of interior angles of an 8-sided polygon. The formula is n minus 2 times 180. N is the number of sides, so substitute n to be 8. Do your calculation, press in the calculator accurately, and you should get 1080 degrees. Hence, find the interior angle, I think there's a missing word here, of of a regular polygon. Regular 8-sided polygon. So if we know the total, how do we find each interior angle? You will take 1080 degrees divided by 8. And each interior angle is 135 degrees. Now, exterior angle forms a straight line with the interior angle. You will find 30 degrees reasons angles on a straight line. Sam commented, there is insufficient information to determine if this is a regular polygon. Do you agree? I agree. Why? The other interior and exterior angles are not given. Okay? If they can tell us that this is also 150, 150, and so on, then maybe I can go ahead to calculate and show that it is a regular polygon. But if they only give me one information here and expect me to use this to answer the whole question, I am not so sure, right? I am not so sure, because for all you know, this angle here could have been 132 degrees. This angle here could be 140. They didn't tell us, so I cannot assume. Alright? Insufficient information about the other interior and exterior angles. So definitely I agree with Sam. There is insufficient info.